Okay, hello, welcome to Airsoft Pro Tips. Now in this episode we're going to be looking at more supportive roles. We're going to be looking at the role of the team medic and we're going to be looking at the role of the team radioman. So, let's start off with the team medic. Now, I've played team medic before and let me tell you, it's a difficult job. You don't want to be doing it if you are not fit, not able to be running around the site, because there is a lot of that involved with this kind of play. But on the other hand, it can also be very rewarding. You're really helping out your team in a very obvious way. A lot more so than maybe when you are playing as a infantryman or some of the other classes you can play as in Airsoft. So, what are the roles of the team medic? Now, really it depends what kind of site you're playing on, because sites have different rules for regen. Now, by regen I mean respawning when you actually get killed during a game. Now, some sites will say, no, once you're dead, 15 minutes, wait for the next game to start, 30 minutes, depending on what your site is. Now, in those kind of situations, there is no point having a team medic, because your medic is, well, you can have a team medic, but your team medic is essentially just for show, just to make your team look good, because you're not actually going to have any physical use in play, if that makes sense. Or alternatively, some sites have what's called a sin bin, where once you get shot, 2 minutes in the safe zone, then you're back out, back into the game. Unless you get shot again, then you're back in for 2 minutes, so on and so forth. However, some sites have the medic rule. Now, the medic rule essentially works in one of several ways, but the most common are a medic runs up, tags you, and you're back in the game, or a medic has to run up, grab you, maybe hold you for something like 5 seconds, or alternatively wrap a bandage around your arm or something similar, and then you're back in the game. One thing to bear in mind when you're playing the medic is being a medic automatically makes you a high value target. Now, not necessarily a good thing to be, for the simple reason that when you're in a group of troops moving forward, and say an enemy sniper is up ahead of you, picking off individuals, he's going to try and pick off you first. Because, especially in games where you do have a specific medic rule, as soon as you take that medic out, that team can't then regen. Or, sometimes you'll have to rely on another medic to come and tag the medic back in, which means they're then sitting there out in the open, waiting for someone else to pick them off as the other medic runs in, and then all of a sudden your regen is stopped for the team. And as soon as that happens, you completely lose momentum, because you can't keep moving forward, you can't get people healed when they move back in. Now, equally, the radioman is a high value target as well, maybe not so much as the medic. Generally speaking, you don't get picked off as much in combat, but we'll talk about that more in a bit. Okay, so I'm now the team medic. It's my job to make sure my guys get healed. I've got myself a nice lightweight weapon, because I'm going to be running around a lot. Now, I'm here, out of the way of combat. Combat's going on just behind me. I'm waiting to hear hit from one of my team, so I can run up, tag them back in, get them back in the game. Hit! Back in! Okay, so let's talk about the real deal medic. Now, you may or may not be aware with a little thing called the Geneva Convention. Now, the Geneva Convention is a set of rules which basically govern warfare. And this is, I'm talking about in real life. The thing about the Geneva Convention is it disallows the shooting of an unarmed medic. So, in real life, the medic will dress slightly differently to the rest of the squad. They'll have defining features, for the simple reason that if you are actually in a battlefield situation with two armies that have said that they are following the Geneva Convention, theoretically speaking, a medic without a weapon should be not shot at, should be able to walk through fire with impunity. Not necessarily the case, which is why a lot of medics these days carry weapons. But on the airsoft field, very different story. People are going to want to pick you off, people are going to want to shoot you, so it does not make sense to be unarmed. But let's talk about weapons for a second. Now, when you're playing team medic, lightweight is best. It's like we were saying in the previous video, don't get overburdened with kit, no more so than the medic, because the medic is the one who has to do the most running around of anyone. So to that end, carry something really light. Now when I'm playing medic, I like to carry the old shotguns, or alternatively something small, maybe Mac 11, Mac 10, something along those lines. Now at a push you can carry something like this, the old folding AKSU, or even something like the old MP5. But the one thing I would say is you really don't want to go too much bigger than that, for the simple reason that it is quite heavy, but also it's quite bulky, which means when you're carrying it on you, even if you're carrying it on a 3-point sling, carrying it down on your front or on your side, it's still going to be there, it's going to be rattling around, it's going to be getting in your way when you're trying to get down, especially if you then have to take out a bandage from your pocket and tie it around someone's arm. So really, small is key. Now I have seen lots of medics carry nothing but their sidearm. Now that makes sense as well, because in the end of the day you can't be much lighter than just a pistol. But of course, problem is low capacity mags, and you're relying on gas operation to work, so in the winter you're going to be less reliable than in the summer months or when it's warmer, unless of course you're using winter gas, but that's a completely different story. So that's pretty much the medic. Now there is one pro tip I would give for this, but we'll show you that in a moment. Okay, I'm Team Medic, and what we've got set up here is an aid station. Just over there is where the main force of fighting is going on, but I'm nice and safe here. We've got defences both sides, we've got friendly forces that way, but the majority of our friendly forces are that way. Now I'm here out of harm's way, so when people get wounded up ahead or behind us, if we get flanked, they can drag them back here, I can tag her back in, and I'm not going to get shot myself. Okay, so let's talk about the Team Radioman. Now, a lot of people watching this video are going to be saying, but we live in an age of personal radios, why the hell would you want a radio man? Now, let me explain. In modern day skirmishing, modern day milsim, chances are you do not need a dedicated radio man, for the simple reason that, like I just said, everyone can carry personal radios, and you're not going to be working at the kind of distances that require anything bigger, you know, the big aerial backpack radios or anything like that. You don't need those on an average skirmish field. In the end of the day, if you consider a large skirmish field is probably maybe 1.5 miles at the absolute biggest, you know, these kind of radios, they're going to work over the majority of that. Most sites are significantly smaller, 20, 50 acres or something, so you don't need anything bigger than this to get across those kind of ranges. But what if you are playing at a milsim, which is a World War II milsim, Vietnam milsim, those kind of things? Because in the end of the day, a lot of times when you are playing at those kind of things, they do limit radios, especially if you are, as I say, at a milsim as opposed to a themed skirmish day. Now sometimes in that situation you can find yourself with only one radio operator per squad, and suddenly having an assigned radio man makes a big difference. Now there's absolutely no reason why you can't have your radio man also assigned as someone else within your team, such as a team grenadier who will also act as a radio man when you are in that situation in the skirmish game. But thinking about that ahead of time, it really helps, because say I'm the radio man, so I've got my radio, it's on my tack vest, whatever kit I'm carrying in a backpack if I really want to go for the look. Now when someone wants to get information, especially in a World War II game where orders will be sent from the top and have to follow a chain of command, if someone wants to find out what's going on in the game, find out what the latest order's in, they're going to have to come to me, because I'm going to have to radio into our HQ and ask them what's going on. Now the best way to do that is if I am the assigned person and everyone knows that I am, when somebody says, who's the radio man? I am, I've got the radio, everyone knows ahead of time. And that's pretty much it, it just makes things a lot easier. So, that's it for this episode. Bit of a shorter episode today because of the nature of what we looked at. Next time we're going to be looking at the team sniper and the team marksman.